average of 8 vehicles crash per day involving tankers and trailers on Nigerian roads, while over 400 people die yearly due to accidents involving utility trailers conveying passengers. In line with the imperatives of cautioning trailers against conveying passengers and cargo simultaneously, the Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Dauda Ali Biu, mandated sector commanders to strengthen enforcement and advocacy campaigns nationwide. The Corps Marshal stated this while reacting to the avoidable road traffic crash that occurred on the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway on 18th March 2024. The crash, which involved a DAF trailer, occurred as a result of excessive speed, overloading and fatigue. This made the driver to lose control of the wheels, thereby crashing into a ditch along the road. Reports from the crash also revealed a total of 172 people, all male adults, involved in the accident. Unfortunately, 10 victims lost their lives, while 48 were rescued with different degrees of injuries. On the strength of the rising spate of the bad road use behavior, the Corps Marshal directed commanding officers to commence with immediate effect result-oriented patrol operations, as well as organize adequate mobile court operations along critical corridors. The continuous cases of fatalities as a result of trailers conveying human beings on top of goods in their vehicles across Nigeria has been a situation of one case too many, despite advice and measures by stakeholders on how to forestall future occurrence. Guests on the program today will be discussing dangers of conveying passengers with trailers and steps to be taken to avert the tragedy that has characterized this trend. Thanks for joining us. I am Eucharia Clinton, and welcome to Nigeria Today. Joining us in the studio to discuss the dangers of conveying passengers on trailers is Mani Ochuboju. He's a transport consultant and a legal practitioner. Join us via Zoom from Makurdi. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Mani, just like from the introduction, you had the unfortunate incident that happened. Why do we keep having this? In spite of all the measures and all the warnings and all of that, we still keep having these kinds of incidents.
One of the reasons we keep having avoidable crashes is because of the pressure we put on the roads, our insufficient transportation system, and the fact that we continue to use only road transport as our main means of transportation. That's the first thing. The second thing is road safety consciousness of our drivers. We have been doing vigorous road safety campaigns since 1988, when road safety was formed. I'm honored to say I'm one of the pioneer road safety officers. When Dr. Olua Agunloye and Professor Wole Soyinka were our leaders when it was formed, we've been carrying out road safety campaigns year in, year out, month in, month out, for the last 34 years. And unfortunately, it seems as if many of our road users, particularly the drivers, and the commercial drivers too, they don't seem to be listening. The worst part and the most painful aspect of the failure of this campaign is that we lose 40,000 lives every year. 40,000.
Okay, it's like we have a little network issue there, but Barney, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead now.
I can hear you. So these accidents, or in fact, incidents, because that's what they are preventable. And because they are preventable, we have to continue with the campaign to keep our roads safe and to prevent what the Corps Marshal himself called avoidable fatalities. In his statement, I heard him. He said they are avoidable fatalities. They are avoidable because if a driver drives with care, reduces his speed, have his vehicle in a good road condition, half the problems of the roads issues are resolved right there by the driver himself. If he avoids overspeeding, if he avoids fatigue, more than 70% of his problems are resolved. The other issues of weather condition, road condition, he can manage them by driving with care. But unfortunately, our drivers don't listen. They overspeed, they overload, they overwork themselves, particularly commercial drivers that drive long distance. You are driving from Kano to Lagos. You're the only driver in the vehicle. You don't have to be in a rush. You can take it easy. You can stay the night on the way, rest when you need to rest. These are the core issues that cause the repeat in the kind of fatalities we see every day. The one that happened yesterday, 10 people died, 47 people injured. That's in one incident. Every day in Nigeria, there are reported cases of road incidents, every day. And each one of them involves fatality across the country. I've been involved with road safety issues in the last 30 years, and it is sad that the numbers of fatalities and injuries keep going up. The other is, and the deaths, is the loss of earning. Some people, after the accident, they can't walk anymore. They can't go to work anymore. They lose their job. They can't run their businesses anymore. Others lose their means of earning. The vehicle may be their only means of earning. They lose it. Others, the accident involves their shop. A vehicle or a trailer runs into their shop and destroys their business. Others, the goods that were carried in the trailer is the totality of their income for that year. Lose it.
Now, you mentioned how lives have been lost and, being conveyed on trailers. Now, we often see people, sitting at the top of these heavy vehicles. Some of them on trailers, some of them on tippers, some on trucks, some of these haulage vehicles. And some just, while the vehicles are in motion, you see them, they're not even holding anything, not throw all safety caution to the air, and, just sit as if, of course, some of them, as if they're even sleeping in their parlors. Now, is it legal? Is it legal to convey passengers on these vehicles? Talking about trailers and heavy vehicle, the haulage vehicles. But before you answer that, we go on a short break now and hear the views of Nigerians on these, on the issue of accidents on our roads concerning passengers being conveyed on trailers and big vehicles, haulage vehicles. Don't go away.
Such a very dangerous, it's such a very dangerous phenomenon, to say the least. You dare not find this in the Western world. You don't find this. You find somebody sitting on top of tomato, on top of cows, or onions, and traveling such a very far distance, especially from the north to southwest and all of that. It's so hazardous. It's so dangerous. The hazards are so numerous. Where do you even start from? The wind, the blowing of the wind is something that is not healthy. It's not healthy. Above all, you can follow. You can just fall overboard. You know, and again our roads are not safe. Are not safe at all.
It's not that people like it that way, but they will do with what they have, what is available at the moment. If they can't afford direct taxi, they will use trailer.
If they want to travel with the things that they sell, like these onions, you can see some outside men travel with the onions or instead of them to go with another car, they will prefer going with the car that carries their goods, which is very, very bad.
I'll look at it on one way, yeah, being human being transporting on instead of goods, worried, yes, because of the hazard involved. But in another way around, no matter how you look at it, even if you have Mercedes-Benz, you have Toyota cars, you have Honda cars, that's what you can use them for. And if it involves that you are a transporter of goods and materials and you have to use lorry, and you want to think of safety of those your goods to the destination based on the experience you've had, of course, if you travel with them or you delegate people to travel with it, I don't think there's much worried about that. Depends on the driver, the road, the state of the road and others. Because even if you say worried, who drives the trailer itself? It's still human being.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we're looking at the dangers of conveying passengers on trailers. And I have my guest via Zoom, a transport consultant. Now, Manny, like I was asking, of course, you heard what Nigerians have to say there. You see some persons on big vehicles like tippers, some on lorries with their goods and all of that. But now, is it legal for trailers or haulage vehicles to convey passengers alongside goods on our highways? Is it legal?
It's not legal at all. Vehicles have their designations. Vehicles that are designated for goods carry only goods. And even the goods they carry, they have a weight limit. You can't carry more than a particular weight. While vehicles are for passengers, only carry passengers. So when you see vehicles that are for goods, like trailers, like the one involved in this accident, it is already committing an offense carrying passengers when it should be carrying goods. So I'm sorry, that practice needs to be seriously checked. It is widespread, it's pervasive, and we hope it will stop soon.
How can this practice be checked? You just said it's not legal, but we keep seeing things like that happen almost on a daily basis, and lives are being lost. So how can this practice be checked?
The Road Safety Commander, Commercial, Dauda Biu, he has ordered that there should be more engagement, more enforcement, and more enlightenment on the issue. I think it goes down to issue of education, it goes down to issue of enforcement, and it goes down to having alternative cheap means of transportation. Alternative cheap means of transportation. I think with the palliative measures being taken, where buses are being provided, and in places like Lagos, where the cost of transportation is being reduced, I think that policy of bringing down the cost of transportation will reduce the desperation of people climbing vehicle mains for goods. Traveling by trailer is not safe and it's not even comfortable. There are no seats. You're standing. It's for cattle, it's for goods. So imagine a human being sitting in a vehicle like a cattle. In some cases, even sharing the space with animals. So it's degrading and inhuman. And as a result, having more alternative means of transportation, waterways is very cheap, but most times we don't travel by waterways. Railway is very cheap, and most times we don't travel by railway. This alternative should be encouraged, besides having enough buses as public transport.
Okay, so now, what are stakeholders getting wrong that we keep experiencing these fatalities? Just like you rightly mentioned, some are even dehumanizing. That, like the one that happened in February 2022, where we had 10 people that were killed. And even some, like you rightly said, we had some sharing the vehicles with their cattle, which is really not too good. So what can stakeholders do differently?
What can people do differently? What people can do differently, like in one of the campaigns by Road Safety, they were advising people to adopt the use of motorbikes, the use of bicycles. But besides that, like I've said earlier, the use of railway is something we can do differently. The use of airways, for those who can afford it, is something we can do differently. The use of waterways is something we can do differently. But more importantly, the continuous insistence on vehicles being used for what they are designated for. When a vehicle is designated as a goods vehicle, you use it as a goods vehicle. When a vehicle is designated as a passenger vehicle, you use it as a passenger vehicle. These are things we can do differently.
So, Manny, now it does appear, like you rightly said, that it is not legal for trailers or the haulage vehicles to convey cargo and passengers, simultaneously. However, we keep seeing this happen. In your own opinion, in terms of laws, in terms of implementation and enforcement, what should be done? And in terms of consequences, because it does appear that quite a lot of people are not being punished, for this offense. So that is why we keep seeing it reoccurring. So what should be done in terms of law enforcement, implementation, and of course, the consequences for offenders, to ensure that, to serve as a deterrent to these kind of incidents?
Having been a road safety officer myself, I will tell you one of the constraints are institutional difficulties of road safety. As a former road safety officer, I recall we had Zone 6, we used to call it, to cover for enforcement. Zone 6 that time stretched from Jos all the way to Maiduguri. And it is a massive land area for officers to cover for patrol. So what we are talking about is, as the soldiers will put it, more boots on the ground. Let's have more road safety officers, more patrol vehicles, more vehicles, more motorbikes. Sorry about that. These are some of the institutional failures we're talking about. So let's have more road safety officers. Let them have more financing, because financing in road safety is constrained. Let them have more motorbikes, because they don't have enough motorbikes to patrol. It makes enforcement inefficient. They get commercial drivers get used to the fact that road safety are just on one spot. So when they are speeding, they get close to that spot, they slow down. But when commercial drivers know there are more road safety officers on the road, there are more patrol vehicles on the road, there are more patrol motorbikes on the road, it will reduce some of these fatalities and crashes. That is one major thing we can do besides the campaign. Because by the time people begin to see enforcement being efficient, enforcement having a real biting teeth, not just barking but biting, it will act as a deterrent. And quite frankly, Nigerians are very law abiding when they know that there will be consequences. But the issue about road incident is this: if there's no road safety officer to guide you and to protect and prevent something, you can see the consequences of deaths on a daily basis. The consequences of people being disabled and crippled as a result of road accidents on a daily basis. Consequences of serious injuries on a daily basis. Loss of income on a daily basis. Like I was trying to say earlier, the economic loss to Nigeria and to Nigerians as a whole in a year is $120 million. And these are figures from the World Bank. So they are meticulously calculated. Approximately $120 million. No, I'm not talking naira here. So it's a great loss. So if you're employing a driver, you have to be careful who you employ. Your life depends on it. Your income depends on it. And the lives of pedestrians and those around depend on how well that driver behaves. Those should be deterrents. But it is staggering that Nigerians and road users carry on as if they have some extra life to fall back on. There's a sense of recklessness and there's a sense of disregard. Oh, it is not my portion. Well, half the times, all these things are preventable. Anything that happens to a driver, most of the times, check it, they are preventable. That is why I like the statement by the corps commander. He said they are preventable fatalities. And by the way, the decade 2021 to 2030 has been set aside by the United Nations as the decade for road safety, road injury prevention, because that's the one.
Thank you very much, Manny. Well, with that, we conclude today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Manny Ochuboju, the transport consultant and a legal practitioner. He joined us via Zoom from Makurdi. Thank you so much for your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out these episodes and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Once again, thank you for watching. I am Ikaria Clinton. Goodbye.